Imagine downloading a piece of code. It's a library you need, maybe an API for an app you're building, and it does exactly what it promises. It works perfectly. But there's a huge problem. In the background, with no errors, no crashes, nothing, that same code is quietly sending all of your sensitive data straight to an attacker.
And that scenario, well, it's not theoretical anymore, is it?
Not at all.
This is the new frontier for cyber threats.
Yeah.
It's aggressive, and it's all about weaponizing the trust that is just, baked right into the developer ecosystem.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are digging into sources detailing two huge and frankly incredibly stealthy software supply chain campaigns that exploit that exact trust.
Right.
We're talking malicious packages buried in the NPM and NuGet repositories. So our mission today is to really understand the mechanisms, the specific ways these packages work.
Yeah, how they're stealing things like entire WhatsApp message histories, crypto keys.
And maybe the most disturbing part, how they get this deep, persistent access that, even uninstalling the code can't break.
Exactly. We're looking at that gap between this code works and the really important question, does this code only do what it claims?
And nothing more.
Right now, that gap is where all the action is for sophisticated attackers.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's start with this first case, the WhatsApp backdoor. It's really chilling.
It is.
So the sources are pointing to a malicious NPM package. It's called Lotus Bail. It was uploaded by a user, Sarin Primrose, way back in May of 2025. And the scale here is it's alarming. It's been downloaded over 56,000 times.
And it was still getting downloads when the research came out, something like 700 in the last week alone.
So the success really comes from the deception.
Oh, completely. It's a layered deception. For any developer, Lotus Bail looked like a totally legitimate, fully functional WhatsApp API library.
It was even based on a real one I read.
It was. The sources say it was directly inspired by @WhiskeySocketsBaileys, which is a well-known, legitimate library. So the attackers they copied a trusted blueprint and injected their own malware.
And the API worked perfectly. That's the genius and the horror of it. It did its job.
While doing a much, much darker job in the background.
Let's talk about what it was stealing for a second, because the sheer amount of data is just staggering. This wasn't just grabbing a password.
No, not at all. We're talking about everything. WhatsApp authentication tokens, session keys, basically the keys to the kingdom.
But also more.
Oh, yeah. Your complete message history, your entire contact list, every single phone number, any media, any documents you've ever shared through that account.
It's a total loss of privacy. Personal, corporate, client data, all of it gone.
Irreversibly gone.
And the technical mechanism here is what made it so stealthy. You mentioned a malicious WebSocket wrapper. How does that work without setting off alarms?
So think about how the app works. It uses secure WebSockets to talk to WhatsApp.
Okay.
The attackers didn't rewrite the whole thing. That's too much work. They just created a malicious wrapper that sits around the real function that makes that secure connection.
So when a developer starts it up.
Exactly. When the developer uses the library to connect and authenticate, which is the very first thing you have to do,
Right.
the wrapper intercepts that process. It grabs all the authentication info, and then it just sits there watching the entire conversation.
So it's basically a man-in-the-middle attack, but on your own machine.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the sources point out two really clever things here. First, the trigger isn't some weird, obscure function. It's just using the API normally.
The most basic function.
Kind of a basic one. Second, all that stolen data. It gets sent to the attacker server in encrypted form.
Wait, encrypted, so that actually makes it harder for security teams to spot, doesn't it?
That's exactly the point.
Because all they see is encrypted data go into some server. It could be anything. It just hides in plain sight.
That's the goal. The encryption protects the data for the attacker, but it also gives them plausible deniability on the network. A firewall might not flag it unless the destination is already on a block list.
Okay, this is sophisticated. But let's shift to the persistence, because the sources say this is the truly novel part of the attack.
This is where it goes from a data breach to something much worse.
It's not just stealing data in transit. It creates a connection that just lasts.
Right. And this mechanism, it's just a masterstroke of exploiting how WhatsApp's multi-device linking works. When you link a new device, you have to scan a QR code or type in a code from your phone.
Yeah, that physical confirmation step.
Right. It's security check.
Right.
So how does the malware get around that?
How does it?
It has a covert function that just hijacks that whole process. Instead of asking for a code, it uses a hard-coded pairing code that's baked right into the malware itself.
A hard-coded pairing code. So when I use the library to connect my app, I'm actually authorizing two things at once, my app and the attacker's device.
You got it. That's precisely what happens. There's a quote from a researcher, Tuval Admoni, that says it perfectly. When you use this library to authenticate, you're not just linking your application. You are simultaneously linking the threat actor's device.
Wow.
The attacker gets full, persistent access. Their device is now paired to your account, just like your own laptop or tablet would be.
And here's the scariest part. That link stays active even after you figure it out and remove the package.
Absolutely.
So I uninstall Lotus Bail. I think I'm safe, but the attacker is still in my account reading my chats in real time.
Yes, because once that link is made, it's a permanent connection to your WhatsApp account. It's got nothing to do with the code on your machine anymore. The only way to break it is to go into your WhatsApp settings on your phone, look at the list of linked devices, and manually remove it.
Most people would never think to do that. They'd think deleting the package was enough.
And that's what the attackers are counting on.
It's just so stealthy. If it's hiding from network analysis with encryption and hiding its active connection with this linking trick, how did anyone even find it? The sources mentioned anti-debugging features, too.
They did. They really tried to cover their tracks. The package can actually detect when it's being analyzed with debugging tools.
And what does it do?
It just throws itself into an infinite loop. It freezes the whole program, so a researcher can't trace what it's doing in real time.
So given all this,
Mm-hmm.
the encryption, the trap, the persistence, what does this tell us about the fundamental security failure here? I saw the Koi security perspective on this.
Yeah, what's so fascinating is how it defeats all the traditional defenses we rely on. Static analysis tools look at the code, they see a working WhatsApp API, and they say, yep, looks good.
Green light.
And reputation systems, they see 56,000 downloads and say, well, it must be trustworthy.
Social proof.
Exactly. The danger, like Koi security points out, is that the malice is in the behavior of the code, not in its structure. It took behavioral analysis to finally flag that weird, unexpected network call trying to establish a second link.
That is the perfect transition to our second campaign because it shows this isn't a one-off problem.
Not at all.
Let's shift gears. We're moving from NPM and chats to the NuGet repository and cryptocurrency.
A completely different ecosystem, but a very similar attack vector.
This one targets the .NET environment and started even earlier, around July 2025.
Yes, the sources describe this really expansive campaign. We're talking 14 malicious packages published from 8 different accounts, all aimed at the crypto world.
And they were impersonating legitimate tools.
Highly legitimate tools. Their main target was Nethereum, which is probably the most popular .NET library for interacting with the Ethereum blockchain.
So again, they're piggybacking on trust. How did they build up that false sense of legitimacy?
They were very, very clever. It was social engineering, really, aimed at both developers and automated tools. They did things like inflate the download counts to make the packages look popular.
Of course.
But they also published dozens of new versions really quickly.
Why do that?
It makes it look like the package is under active, dedicated development. A developer looks at the version history and thinks, oh, wow, these guys are really on top of things. It screams professionalism.
But inside, it was just about theft. What were these packages actually doing?
2 main things. First, exfiltrating the most sensitive data you can imagine. Private keys, seed phrases.
The things that give you total control of a wallet.
Total, irreversible control. But the second part, the way they stole funds, was brilliant. The packages were designed to redirect transactions to the attacker's wallet, but only if the transaction was for more than $100.
$100? Why that specific threshold?
It's an operational security masterpiece. Think about it. When you're a developer testing your code, you're not sending thousands of dollars.
You're sending $1, maybe $5, just to see if it works.
Exactly. By setting the trigger high, the malware stays dormant during all testing and development. It never raises a red flag. It only activates and swaps the wallet address when it detects a real high-value production-level transfer.
So they're only hitting live, successful systems.
They're avoiding detection and maximizing their profit at the same time.
Incredible. Now, most of these were crypto-focused, but one stood out, Google Ads.api. That one wasn't about crypto at all.
That's right. And this just shows that the attackers are opportunistic. They're not targeting one industry. They're targeting whatever asset is most valuable.
And with this package, they were going after Google Ads OAuth information.
Yes, which for a business is an absolute nightmare.
Explain that. For anyone who doesn't know, what does an attacker get with that kind of access?
The sources are clear on this. They get full, programmatic access to your company's entire Google Ads account, meaning they can impersonate you. They can read all your campaign data, your performance metrics, your budgets. They can create new ads, modify your existing ones, and they can spend your money.
Potentially unlimited funds.
Potentially unlimited funds spent on their own malicious campaigns, but billed to your company's credit card.
A total disaster. So let's step back. Let's connect the dots between the WhatsApp attack and this huge NuGet campaign.
We've looked at two really different campaigns, right? One is about chats and access. The other is about money and credentials.
But they share the exact same core tactic.
The identical tactic.
Yeah.
They exploit the fundamental trust that we as developers put into these open source repositories. Every time you run npm install, you are making an assumption.
An assumption that the code is safe, that the download count is real, that the version history is honest.
All of it. And these attacks prove those assumptions can be a liability.
This really feels like it's part of that bigger trend of supply chain attacks just getting better, more effective.
They are. I mean, this is a foundational attack. It's not about breaching a firewall anymore. Why bother when you can just walk in the front door?
Because the malicious code is delivered through a trusted channel.
Exactly. It's coming from the official repository.
Yeah.
This means traditional security, perimeter security. It's almost irrelevant here. The big lesson is that we have to stop just vetting the source of a package and start vetting its behavior after it's installed.
Because functionality is no longer a sign of safety.
Not at all.
Okay, so to wrap this up, we've seen how Lotus Bale used this novel, hard-coded pairing code to get permanent access to WhatsApp accounts, making uninstallation useless. And we've seen how the NuGet campaign used inflated trust metrics and clever triggers, like that $100 threshold, to steal crypto and hijack massive advertising accounts.
And that download number 56,000 for Lotus Bale alone, that tells the whole story. It shows just how easily our current systems of trust were fooled.
It really does.
Which brings up a really important question for you, the learner, as you're working on your own projects. If reputation systems, download counts, and static analysis can be so easily defeated, when the malicious code is just hiding in that gap between what a package claims to do and what it actually does, what comes next? What new, non-traditional methods do we need to invent to verify trust? How do we build systems that don't just look at code, but watch for the subtle, malicious behavior of code that otherwise seems perfectly fine? That's the question we all need the answer to secure, well, the future of the internet,